What I've got here today is a 12-volt refrigerator, which is right here. And then I have an 18-volt, 9 amp hour power tool battery. Now, this is a generic Milwaukee version battery, but it's a 9 amp hour lithium-ion battery. So what I want to find out is how long can I run this 12-volt refrigerator off of just a simple power tool battery? Now, most good 12-volt refrigerators are going to know the voltage that's coming in. For instance, this refrigerator here, it will shut off automatically if it's running the battery too low in your car, let's say. So if you got stuff in it, it's in your car, you're parked. If you forget about it, it's going to cut off before it drains your battery all the way down to keep you from being stranded. So that is what I mean by good 12-volt refrigerators. So this one has the smarts in it to know what voltage is coming in, is it the appropriate voltage or not. So you can't just hook up this 18-volt battery directly to it and expect it to run. It's going to give you an error saying over voltage, and you're done. So to get through that, I bought this voltage converter here. It's DC to DC voltage converter, and it will convert anywhere from like 18 to 56 volts all the way down to 12 volts. I've got this little generic battery connector here. You can get these off of Amazon, and they make them for pretty much every type of power tool battery out there. This one here is a Milwaukee type, so it's going to work with this replacement Milwaukee battery. This also came off of Amazon. You can get them in all different sizes and kinds. This one is a 20 amp version, so that way it will do 20 amps at 12 volts, which is about 240 watts, which is more than enough than this fridge needs. And then all I did was put a 12-volt socket in line on the output of that so we can plug in the power cable to the fridge. But I'm just checking out the viability of this, see how long it's going to run. Is it going to handle it? Because again, these refrigerators do measure the voltage that's coming in. So is the voltage on the power tool battery going to drop too quickly? You know, what's going to happen? What I'm really looking to get out of this is we're in the car, we've got refreshments and snacks and everything in there, and the refrigerator's nice and cooled down. It's got everything in it. But we get to the beach and we want to take the refrigerator out of the car, down to the beach, and hang out for 4, 6, 8 hours. Can I just use a tool battery instead of having to lug a 12-volt battery like a lithium iron phosphate battery, which is what I've done before, down with the refrigerator? Sure, I can buy a lower amp hour 12-volt battery, that's true, but I'd like to know if I can just use power tool batteries I already have. Anyways, enough talking. Let me go ahead and get this thing hooked up, and we're going to see how long this 9 amp hour fully charged replacement Milwaukee battery is going to run this refrigerator. All right, so I've got the battery hooked up, I've got the converter hooked up, and I've got the socket here with the power plug to the refrigerator. The refrigerator is running. I did pre-cool the refrigerator because that is basically how we would be doing it. It would be in the car, it'd be pre-cooled. We would just unplug it, bring it down to the beach with this setup. So I'm gonna see how long this will run on this battery. Again, here's a little bit more close up, and I wanna show you here. See, it's saying it is 12.2 volts. That's exactly what the converter puts out, is 12.2 volts. There is an eco mode we can put this on, but I'm gonna leave it on max just because, you know, we'll be out in the hot sun and I just want it to perform properly. And it is set for 36 degrees, but it does drop down to around 30, and then I think it kicks back on when it gets closer to 40 to keep it in that kind of center temperature. This thing fully charged, I tested it, it was putting out about 20.8 volts. So 20.8 volts is going in, 12.2 volts is going out. This little piece here with the wiring can put out 30 amps. This is rated at 20 amps. And then this socket here that you would normally have like in your car is rated at 10 amps. All of that's pretty standard. I'll put a link to all of these items that you're gonna need. Even this nice refrigerator here. We love this refrigerator. I'll put a link to all of this down in the description. All right, so now we're just gonna wait and see how long this goes. This refrigerator will actually turn itself off and start giving an error when the voltage coming out of here gets too low. So I'm assuming if this thing drops down below the 18 volts that I think is the minimum for this, then the 12 volts will probably start degrading also, which will then kick off this refrigerator. But I'll be watching it. So it's been 8.5 hours already. It's still running fine. And the battery still shows 2 out of 3 bars. So this battery looks like it will easily run it for 10 hours, maybe longer. I'm gonna let it run and just see how long it's gonna do it. All right, we're fixing to hit 11 hours and this thing is still going. I was not expecting this thing to run this long off of a small little battery like this, but it is. And since I'm getting ready to go to bed and I don't think this is gonna make it through the night, I'm gonna go ahead and end the test. But let me show you where the status is on this. If I take the battery and I press the button, it does show it's got one light there. Of course, it's going to give out when that last light's gone. That means the voltage is going to be too low and the battery should turn off. But we could be anywhere from 1% to 30% left on that battery, and we're at 11 hours, which 11 hours is more than I would ever need. So the fact that it made it 11 hours and it's still going, I'm going to guess maybe 12 hours on this battery. Again, way more than I need it to do. Now, with all of that said, this says it's an 18 volt, 9 amp hour battery. But what really matters is the specs on the bottom of this battery. This battery is rated at 162 watt hours. Right here, 162 watt hours. That's the real capacity of this battery. So you'd have to think about that when, you're wanting to do a setup like this, because that's a 9 amp hour, this is a 6 amp hour, and this is 108. But that's how they're coming up with the 18 volt and how many amp hours it is. This is 162, this is 108. And it's gonna be the same with pretty much any tool batteries. Here's a rigid battery that says it's 4 amp hours, and this one is 72 watt hours. I don't know if you can see it. So it says 18 volts, 4 amp hours, 72 watt hours. So every one of the tool batteries on there somewhere should show you, how many watt hours are on that battery, what its capacity is. Even this generic Makita battery, 108 watt hours. 18 volts, 6 amp hour, 108 watt hours. So the 108 watt hours is really what you need to look at. So with 162 watt hours, I've got 11 hours, probably 12 hours I'd get out of this battery. These converters are pretty efficient. I mean, you're gonna have a little bit of power loss in a converter like this, but I think when I looked it up, it was around 95% on the conversion rating. And that's pretty good. That's because it's only having to move DC to DC. It's just having to change the voltage. It's not having to convert from like DC to AC. There's more loss in that when you have an inverter, but this is just a converter. Anyways, that's the test. I'm expecting about 12 hours out of a battery like this. Of course, your mileage could vary on different refrigerators, but this is the one that is nice, lightweight, still holds a whole lot of stuff inside of this refrigerator, and then we can bring it easily. This could be completely packed. I can still easily carry this fridge here. So that's what I like about this specific one. We do have larger ones that I love them too, but they're not just the easy throw around, keep a few drinks cold. They're more of the wheeled, big, massive refrigerators that usually have 2 compartments that are like fridges and freezers. But when it comes to just carrying one around and probably wanting to use it with a battery, this is my go-to. Anyways, I will have a link to all of these parts and everything, even the fridge, down in the description of the video. And I hope all of this information was helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and y'all take care.